This is really about making identity stitching much easier, more accessible. And with this release, identity stitching is now built directly into CJA Connections workflow. Now it's more of a natural part of how you set up and manage your data. And this means you can configure stitching, directly in the product itself, selecting the identity fields, controlling how events are aligned, and without really needing to have a separate process or additional setup. So the benefit here is simplicity, speed. It's going to reduce complexity and reduce that need for, or eliminate the need for any duplicate data, and allows you to go into a unified customer view much faster. So it's bringing the simplicity, speed, but also transparency. You can clearly see how your stitching is configured, adjust it as needed, and have more control over your data. So overall, right, it's easier to manage, easier to scale, more accessible across your teams. And Charles, this is a big part of where Adswerve fits into, right, within the implementation, within the guidance of how to use Customer Journey Analytics and some of the other products, right? How does Adswerve think about stitching when they engage a customer that's either coming from digital analytics, or maybe even they want to start adding additional data sets? Like how does Adswerve think about that approach?
So for me, back to my intro, this is one of, if not the biggest reasons I fell in love with this platform. So if you're a marketer and you want to answer a basic question around what's actually acquired a user and what that user did after acquisition, you almost certainly have to have some component of stitching to answer those questions. And again, in a lot of legacy platforms that all of us have used or actually are using today, those platforms doesn't and won't stitch data, especially backwards. So in Customer Journey Analytics, if you're new to stitching, we can take IDs and associate them with other IDs and then reassociate that data all together on this new kind of combined ID we're working off of. So Adobe can meet you wherever you are in that journey. If you don't have strong identity graphs, Adobe can help you create these associations with like a Marketo ID, an email or a newsletter ID, your authenticated ID, your purchase or order, and create that kind of map and connect it together. Or if you already have that all solved and you have like strong IDs that show up on your website, we can just ingest that kind of connected ID, and Adobe will kind of put all of your data in order. But I think the part of this feature release that Adobe did in January was previously you had to actually create a support ticket for Adobe to activate the stitching within CJA. Now it's a UI that your team can see and control and have access to that process. So that transparency, I think, is really big, because now it doesn't feel like a black box, even though it really wasn't. But now you can actually see and control exactly all the settings around the stitching. But for those of you that aren't using Customer Journey Analytics, this is like a huge why reason, because now that platform has stitching. And if you already have CJA, now you can actually see and have control over all the settings in here. So a pretty big release in my opinion, even though kind of small, but mighty.
Yeah, and I mean, even the aspects that Adswerve is involved in, right? It's going to speed up that time to value from initial start of the implementation all the way through, right? Because now you have access directly to your stitching configurations, and like you mentioned, previously it used to be in a Jira ticket, but now it's right within the UI.
Exactly.